Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today in this new series that the Forest Park Public Library set up for businesses. Let's talk business. The intent with these sessions is to support businesses, to get to know more about what are our local businesses, how they are doing in the current circumstance, but also it's a great opportunity for our library to support entrepreneurs by doing interviews or demonstrations that we can set up in our website or on our social media networks. My name is Amilcar Perez. I'm a librarian, and today we have a guest who is the executive chef and owner of Zesty Catering and has been in the culinary field for over 10 years in the Chicago area. She has worked with other catering companies, including Fig Catering, Chef by Request, Ambiente Chicago, and Maison Cuisine. For several years, she was the host of an online cooking show that was called Foodgasm. Her culinary specialties include creating food for alternative diets such as vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, and raw. And you can see, if you take a look at those videos, you're going to see that her passion for food is based on food is love. And if any of this or all of this is not enough, her early career was as a professional dancer, and she spent several years touring with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. So today I am very pleased to welcome Ashley Simone. How are you, Ashley?
Doing very well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Thank you so much. So to start, can you please give us a description of the business you're currently operating and how long you've been in business?
Okay, I am the executive chef and owner of a small catering company, sort of more of a boutique size, called Zesty Catering. I've been in business for about 8 years, though I started it when I was working part-time with other catering companies. It was just so I could, start kind of getting my foot into the water. I've been officially on my own just with my catering company for the past 3 years now. Do events about up to 150 people. So smaller events. I'm not looking to do the big grand ones. So I do private in-home events, also nonprofit, the Oak Park Area Arts Council, OPAC. I do several events for them at like Pleasant Home and other locations. So it's really kind of a wide variety, but it's all about food and it's all about the love of food and bringing a good time to everybody.
Very nice, very nice. So, of course, you have accomplished several successes in different areas. What do you consider have been the biggest challenges in getting started in your current field?
That's a good question. I mean, I wasn't really sure, that I was going to get into the food because I've always been performing. I started dancing at age 4, performed up into my late 20s as a dancer. I did acting as well, but primarily as dancer. And I just, it wasn't quite working as a field. I, worked for many restaurants like many performers do. And I I really enjoyed the food part of it. And then I started sort of stepping behind and, working in the kitchens. And I don't know, I decided this might be kind of interesting. I don't know. It's not directly what I want to do. But then I did think about doing the Foodgasm, the show. And I actually thought of the show before I became before I actually went to culinary school. I've always enjoyed cooking and passionate, and I'd learned a lot just from family and friends and things I've learned along the way. But I said, if I'm going to do this, I don't want to look like, a crazy woman on camera with a knife and not knowing what I want to do, not looking professional, or at least like I know how to cut a knife, use a knife properly to cut an onion. So I was like, I'm going to go to culinary school. So I went for several years, got my degree, and kind of near the end of my schooling, or my secondary schooling with culinary school, that's when we started filming Foodgasm. So, and then I was just like, this is really cool. I'm really liking it. Like, this can become a full-time thing. I wasn't quite sure. I went into it when I was older, so in my early 30s, and I knew what I wanted out of the schooling. I wasn't like, oh, I'm just gonna work as a, line cook maybe, or go. And I've worked in some restaurants, but I really knew I wanted to do catering. I love catering. I love events. I love the flexibility of it in terms of my schedule. I love the flexibility of it in terms of menus. Menus are always changing. That is like one of the most fun thing for me, is creating a menu. It's like, what does a client want? What's their budget? Because then you have to weigh that into it as well. And okay, let's create something, do the best possible for them with the budget that allows. So it's very exciting. It's always different.
Very nice. In watching some of the videos that you have for Foodgasm, I mean, you can see that theme that you have from the 40s. My question is, and it is a very nice, especially when you're in the backyard and you have your grill and you have some cocktails going on in your recipes.
Yeah.
But I mean, in your background, you have been performing. You were a dancer. How the qualities or the experiences that you had in your previous careers helped you to come up or to focus in the food industry?
That's a good question. Being a performer, I mean, it's a hard life. You really have to be self-motivated. You have to really, it's pretty rigorous. There's usually a schedule in terms of rehearsals and things like that. So it's the same thing, going into an event, like meal prep, organizing, and there's usually some big thing that's going to go on, a performance. So that's, the culmination of everything. So I love to be a project manager. Whatever it is, I love to project manage. So that's what running or creating an event would be, is kind of like this big thing you're getting together, and then all the elements that go into it. So I think just as a performer, learning those skills, I think that has helped me to do this. But there was a lot of other set of skills I learned doing that food show, which is honestly is something I would like to recreate. That was just a web series. I am hopeful that, I'm not exactly sure how yet, but my life would get back to a place where I could do an actual full-fledged pilot and do it as a show. So I think that's something I'm looking forward to and trying to envision in my life. But I really enjoy the things that I've learned along the way as a performer and entertainer. It's also just, it helps you think on the spot. Because if you're on stage, especially, not just on camera, but on stage, you're like, oh, or if you're doing live, I've done some live cooking segments actually on some of the local TV stations, and you have to think on your feet. You have to be able to do that right away. And same thing like an event. So many things can happen. And if you're really good about planning, which I am, and organizing as much as possible, sometimes it seems overkill, because usually you're walking into a different space every time to do an event. Somebody's home, a venue, whatever it may be. So you have to know that there's going to be variables that you haven't thought of, and things happen, weather, sometimes if it's an outdoor event. So you have to be able to think on your feet very quick and remain calm and with a smile on your face, at least from me.
Well, those two attributes that you encompass, the planning and the organization, but also being willing and able to think on the spot. I think that's amazing. I mean, for as an entrepreneur, it seems that you can only make it if you have, these type of skills where you're gonna face challenges of all sorts, but you enjoy thinking fast and solving problems on the spot.
I do. I love it. It's energizing to me. I mean, yes, I don't want things to go wrong, but I do like things it's like, I like a challenge. I don't truly like things to be too easy in life. It's fun. I like to, and I always create more challenges for myself, which is what I'm doing now. More challenges, more fun things to think of. So yes.
and on that note, I want to ask, this pandemic, what are the challenges that your business is facing? And this is a multi-part question, if you allow me. So the challenges that you're facing, how are you facing these challenges? But also, how your previous challenges equipped you to sort this out?
Well, basically, once, everything got shut down, all my events got shut down. I do have a few clients that I was doing some just sort of home delivery, make the meals, and then they order for the week or something like that. That kind of died down as well because everybody was just, no events, nothing. So pretty much everything came to a standstill initially. So I've gotten very creative in this time because I was like, well, what am I going to do? First of all, for my sanity, I need to do something. I love cooking. I love baking. So I decided to just start focusing more on the baking side, which I'm not a pastry chef, though I do tons of baking and cakes and cookies and things like that, but that's not my specialty. I just decided to start making breads. And then, neighbors in the area and friends and family who know me are like, oh, hey, you're making some bread. So I started promoting it just on my Facebook page, just like, hey, anybody? And then people are like, oh, well, sure, I'll order. And then I created a separate page separate of my catering company, because it's more just something local, something not normally what I would do for catering, not an event, but I'm making breads and scones daily during the week. It's called Ashley's Daily Breads. And then on Sundays, I do a Sunday supper. And it's usually pies, like savory pies, quiches, sweet pies. I don't know. It's just something I started doing just for myself. And then, if I can feed people, it's good. I'm definitely not making the money that I would normally with my company. But it's, like I said, partly it's for my mental health. It feeds people. And it's usually people I know or connected to somehow, which I really appreciate because, we need to take care of each other if we're going to get through this. I mean, it's, and the food for me is how I love. I bake and feed you and this. But one thing I'm learning, this is not something I have been as good at with my catering, because my catering's more event-based. So here's an event, blah, blah, blah. We figure it out and an event happens and then on your way. It's not something there's as many regular clients of mine. I do have a couple, like one or two weekly meals that we may do, but I don't have a lot of same people all the time. So this is something very different for me. I'm dealing with the same people every week, getting bread, scones, getting their dinners, things like that, which is great. So it's forcing me, or it's not even forcing me, it's allowing me to think in the future, how can I continue this? Because it's hard to continue. I don't want to be a bakery. I don't want to do this full time once this kind of lets loose, but I do want to keep some elements of it. So I'm trying to think, what if there's something weekly I could do, or some sort of like monthly supper club, or something where I connect. And then also it's helping me because I'm marketing and through this group and sort of hi and saying little things. And I don't know, connecting with people is really important. And I think that's something I'm learning to hopefully bring forward to the future of my catering.
Very nice, very nice. As we were saying, that creativity and that sense of, solving problems on the spot certainly is coming handy right now. What would be, as we are heading towards the end of the interview, what message would you give to other businesses that are struggling right now and that are trying to figure out, what would you tell them?
Yes, and there are so many, especially in the food industry. That's why it's so important to really support our local food businesses and businesses in general, but the food businesses, because some of them may disappear, some already are disappearing. So I would definitely suggest just think outside the box. That's the biggest thing. Just, okay, you've been doing things a certain way and you've got it down. That's great, but right now that's not working. So can I do what I'm doing and offer it in a different way? Some bars and restaurants are creating, do it yourself, pizza dinner, or some bars I think have like create your own cocktail. They give you the stuff and you make your little cocktail at home. Or so there's just, you do things differently. Don't just do what you're doing, because you can do okay with some takeout orders, but it's definitely not going to be what like a restaurant say will normally earn. So I think just kind of going back to the drawing board, like, okay, what can I do? Also, it's like, what do I want to do? there are business costs and things and employees and things like that to think about, but what do I want to do? So this is a really good time to take pause and maybe revamp, maybe rethink things. So it's just, don't give up hope though. There's always a way. There's always a way. And there's a great community here, especially in Forest Park. So, that's one thing I love about this town, the community. People are so generous and kind and reaching out and helping each other. That's why I enjoy what I'm doing, even though I'm not making a ton of money, but it's enough and people are happy and they eat my food and they're happy and like, great. It's a win-win. So, other businesses, don't give up. There are people and resources out there to help you, and we have each other. So.
That is great. That's a great message.
That was my virtual hug.
Very nice. So where will we find you? If somebody wants to know more about you, how can we find you?
Okay, well, there's a couple ways. There is zestycatering.com. There's not a lot on my website because I focus so much on doing events there, but there is a contact page and you can get me there. On Facebook is a better way. There's Zesty Catering on Facebook, actual page there, as well as the little thing that I'm doing right now, which I do promote it on that page as well, is the Ashley's Daily Breads and Sunday Suppers. It's just a small group that I started just for the food that I'm doing right now. So, but definitely zestycatering.com and the Facebook page are good places to start.
Very good. The videos, your videos are in.
Yes, and the videos, you can find those. You can find them on YouTube, but the best way is to go to the website, which is afoodgasm.com. And then they have all the videos and things like that and recipes. And there's a little blog. I'm actually going to be starting back with the blog and the Facebook page for Foodgasm because I'm kind of like, I want to give some tips and some things out there again. So I really do love everything from Foodgasm. So I want to kind of reboost that again.
And I would definitely suggest for all of you who are watching to take a look at these videos because, well, right now that we're at home and that you've been having already summary days. Some of the recipes that you have that include nice beverages and you have your grill. Really check it out.
Definitely.
Ashley, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. I know that you're gonna do great, and your message has been very inspiring, and I am sure it will be inspiring for all our viewers.
I hope so. There is faith. There is hope.
Okay, thank you so much, Ashley. Well, everyone, my name is Amilcar, and I will see you next time to keep talking business. Have a good day.